Business, a person's occupation, profession, or trade. Connection, a relationship in which a person or idea is linked or associated with something else. Welcome to Business Connection. Each week, our program will offer inspiration to navigate the business world. Information you can use to succeed in any field. And we will help you focus on your goals. Join us now for Business Connection with your host, B.C. Clark.
Welcome to the Business Connection. I'm your host, B.C. Clark. As you know, I interview business owners across the state and some other states as well. Today, my guest is Xavier Jackson. And Jackson, I always forget the name of your company.
The Local Art Plug.
The Local Art, how could you forget that? The Local Art Plug. So welcome to the show.
Definitely, thank you for having us.
Yeah, so listen, tell me a little bit about you, and then we'll talk a little bit about the business.
Okay, definitely. So my name is Xavier Jackson, as you said already. I'm the founder of the Local Art Plug. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, born and raised. I went to Omaha South for high school, Norris Middle School for middle school, and then I went to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln for college, where I graduated with a double major and 2 minors.
Awesome. And was one of them art?
Yes, definitely. Yep. So my minors were in art and English, creative writing, and then just art history.
I see that. I feel that. I hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And so I know that you do have a lot of art and stuff going on. But talk to us a little bit about, the Local Art Plug and what's all happening there and how can we connect?
Definitely, the Local Art Plug. Well, what we do is we connect local artists with local art lovers, businesses, nonprofits, and the communities. We offer art subscriptions where we actually go into businesses and rotate art every 3 months. We have an art lease program, so if you find a piece that's out of your budget, we can work with you on a payment plan. And then we also have affordable venue space for the community and artists to be able to rent out.
Oh my goodness. So you kind of got the whole full thing right there.
Definitely, yep, one-stop shop.
One-stop shop.
Yeah.
I love that. And do artists come in and maybe have art shows in that venue spot that you guys also offer?
Yep, definitely. Artists can rent it out, host their own venue show. If they want to do a weekend event, we can help coordinate that with them as well. And we've had a few community activations in there too, potlucks, bridal showers, and things like that.
Everything.
So, yes, it's really become a community hub.
Because, I tell you what, when you say local art, everything is almost, art is in everything.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's one thing. But I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about when you started the business and talk a little bit about your entrepreneur journey. And I know you're still on that.
Yep.
However, you've done a lot in a short time. And so I think that a lot of the business owners that are out there would love to kind of, hear some of the things that you've gone through, some of the things you've gotten over, and just where you are right now. So just kind of talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Definitely. No, I'd love to. And, as they say, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
Right.
We're on year 7. So I came up with the idea around 2016 when I was in college. So I graduated with a major in broadcast production and advertising, but I really fell in love with creative writing and I wanted to pursue that as a career option. And I couldn't find other people in the creative community to connect with around creative writing, or it was really hard to find professionals in that area. And I'm like, I know there has to be some in Nebraska and Lincoln somewhere. And that was, again, 2016. I had to go through several Facebook pages, websites, and it was just very difficult to be able to connect.
Yeah.
I graduated from college, started working construction for a little bit, and it was great money, but I was like, oh, this, it's not for me. It's not what I went to school for. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
So I took that same idea that I had in college and was trying to get off the ground about connecting creatives and making art a little bit more accessible. And I applied to a couple of different accelerators. And from there, they walked me through how to build the business and how to validate the idea and test the market. And from there, we spent the first year validating the market. We spent the second year getting acclimated into the market.
And talk a little bit, because I think people rush into business and they don't take all the steps.
Yes.
So they find themselves in year 2, in kind of chaos. So when you said, and I know exactly what you mean, but I want you to spell it out. So the first year you took validating.
Yes.
Not only your target market, but just talk a little bit about that.
Definitely. And that was the journey. It was fun. I'd treat myself to some nice food every Friday. That really began with just a lot of Facebook messages and Instagram messages. I would try to DM people and find three points of contact, but I would send them a survey. First, I sent that to just general creatives and people who I knew were artsy, and kind of get their feedback to see if this was actually a problem.
Right.
And then once we figured out that this was a problem, I said, okay, which industry or medium would be the best to approach to try to solve this?
Yes.
So we talked to people who run production studios like this one,
Yes.
music studios, tattoo shops,
Collect the data along the way so
yes.
you can have a good, okay.
even
great.
fashion designers, and just kind of seeing where's the biggest market opportunity and where can we have the most impact. And it was with physical art is what we ended up finding. So that's where we started.
I think that physical art is really huge, and I think a lot of people don't really understand. I used to buy it all the time. I buy art because I love different art, not only African art, but I love contemporary art. I love a lot of different types of things for different areas in the house.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? And so there was a company at one time, I can't think of what it was the name right now, but where they would have art shows around, and people would do art shows in their homes. And then you could order those particular pictures or buy them right there. And so, and then I don't know, it went away. I think around COVID, it disappeared, as many things did. But I love this because, a lot of times when someone is doing something like that, you're buying and you get kind of accustomed to buying certain pieces and stuff, and then it goes away. But like here, it's local.
Yes.
And I love that, the local art plug. And what I love about that is that there's a multitude of everything in there because art is in everything.
Yes.
So I love that. How did you come up with that name?
Definitely. So originally we were Showcase, and I think we were working under the name Showcase for about 2 years, and trying to get that validated as an LLC, and we were unable to do that because there was a company that might have been too similar in a different city in Nebraska. So we were like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's see what other names we can come up with, and that one really just stuck. And there's so many acronyms and play on words we can do off of it. Yeah, it's awesome.
I think it's perfect. I really, really, really love the name, the local art plug. So I'm sorry, I know I just want you to explain that first year of validation, and then the second year you were going on to talk about that. So go ahead and talk about that.
Definitely. So after validating and seeing, okay, this is a problem, we can help with physical art, so 2D paintings and sculptures and things like that. We went the next year to recruit artists, and we were trying to see, well, should we recruit galleries as well? What's the best way to go about this? And in the beginning, a lot of people didn't know what we were doing and saw us as competition, so that made things a little difficult. But we kind of had to earn our chops, whatever they call it. Just to kind of show people that we're here actually to help the community and help people build their careers. So we're not trying to take away from what anyone else is doing. We want to, if not add to it, highlight it.
Yes. I think that oftentimes people are not sure when they hear a name, and if they're not artsy, if they don't kind of put things together, like, okay, what is that? Well, they're doing this, you know what I mean? So they automatically go on the kind of the defensive to thinking that someone's trying to move them out. However, what I love about this company, the Local Art Plug, is that you've taken the time to walk through and plan definitively what things that needed to be done. And I think a lot of times with new business owners or entrepreneurs who are thinking of how they should do the thing, they don't do the planning. They leave those critical steps out. And so in the second year, that's why they're in flux, they're in chaos, and really just hanging on by a thread by the third year, and they finally just think it's too much. But I would just say, and I think you might agree, you can't jump into something and if you've never done it before. I mean, you can, but you can always drown too if you jump in water, you can't swim. So I think that the one thing I always kind of urge people to do is to, plan, collect data, see what niche it is that because just because you do a restaurant, I mean that, oh, I'm doing this restaurant. There's 1,000 restaurants out here, and though when you first open up, you'll have a lot of traffic because it's new. People love new things, okay? So they'll go, just like that, I don't want to call it just a new thing up on,
I know what you mean.
Saba Creek. The lines were around the corner, and then 3 months later, nothing. Because if you're not coming with something unique and different, there's fried chicken everywhere, there's hot and spicy everywhere. And so you have to really look at the market, see what niche you're going to be in, and how you're going to launch that niche. And it does take time.
It does.
You know, and not only that, but if you're not collecting the right data, looking at the right target market for your niche, then you've lost it already. You know, and so I wanted to kind of just expound on that, because I see so many businesses that come in and they know everything. And when I find people that know everything, you know, I may make a few suggestions, but I back away.
Yeah.
Because number one, they have to find out that they don't know everything.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know everything.
No, I don't either. Yeah.
You know, and so, and I don't think I ever will. But I'm always learning. I'm always looking. I'm always, you know, digging to find out more stuff that I can bring to other people. You know, more services that I can do. And so when you can't tell somebody something, you just walk away.
Definitely.
Because it's a waste of your time, and it's definitely a waste of their time, because they don't know what they're doing. So, but yeah, so I think a lot of times if you just stop, you know, don't try to rush into anything, but sit and plan. I spend a lot of times in the library. Most people think, well, what are you in the library for?
I love the library now.
That's my library.
That's my favorite place to go.
Between Do Space and the traditional library, I love that. Okay, sometimes I go in there and I thumb through stuff, I pull up stuff, I look at stuff. It gives me such insight, and a lot of times I really learn while I'm in there. And it, you know, something that I want to do differently. You know, I started learning about AI, you know, a little bit ago. I only done one workshop on it, and it was just an overview. You know, because I don't feel like I'm an expert to know that. I do play with it.
Yes.
You know, Chat GPT and some other stuff I've done, but it's not like I'm an expert at that. So I'm not going to try to tell somebody else that. But I can do an overview and say, hey, this is what it is.
Yes.
This is how it can impact your business. Now, you really have to be on top of it, because it can go either way.
Yes.
If you think you want to have it right for you, you better be careful, because it may be saying something you don't want it to say. You know what I mean? So it's things like that. So I think that sometimes people don't take the time to really plan what they want to do. And I mean, lay it out.
Yes.
You have to be able to see it. You can't just say, I'm starting a business tomorrow, and you haven't done any any footwork. You didn't do any validation. You didn't find out what your target market is. So you know, when I think about this show, I'm always want to throw out tips to people, because you know, it can be very rewarding if you can start and do everything right.
Yes.
And not that we all do. We all fail along the way, but that's how we learn. You know, so but do what you need to do ahead of time. Like, lay out your plan, and you may have to update. You may have to take away, you may have to enhance, whatever, but make sure you have a plan.
Definitely.
Because with the plan, then you can begin to see what you're trying to do.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to, you know, people that you trust that may be already in business, not your family and them
No,
who
yeah,
don't
no.
own a business, but someone who you know has owned a business for a while, have been through some things that can give you some information.
Definitely.
And so I think, to me, that's good information for someone. What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely, and this is great, and I agree with everything that you said. And I think a lot of times with business owners now, at least today, they get the sense of FOMO, fear of missing out, that they're missing out on something. I know that when going through our first couple of accelerators, they really just tried to rush you out, and you got to get first to market, you got to speed, you got to go and break things. But sometimes you have to be able to drown out that noise and know what's best for you and what you got to do that's best for you, and be okay with taking your time and being patient. And then you also have to be, kind of going back to what else you were saying, coachable and open-minded, and being willing to pivot. You might have a great idea for a business, but you got to remember that you don't know everything in the world, and you have to be open to continuing your education.
Right.
Like all the time, even today. I might know a lot of stuff about art, but that doesn't mean I know everything about what it means to run a business.
Right.
And businesses are universal for the most part. So if you start looking at these different business books, you go to reach out to those mentors who are kind of 5-10 years down the road from you, and who've been there and done that, even if it is in a different industry.
And you'd be surprised at
business
what you learn.
is business at the end of the day.
Just the things that they learn, and they're willing to share that with you.
Yes.
A lot of times you don't learn everything in school.
Yes. No.
know,
No.
you-
Yeah. They didn't teach us everything.
I mean, no, no. And so you have to come out and you have to experience some things. And I always tell individuals that if you plan on going into a particular industry, find someone in that industry or business in that industry and go and work over there.
Yes.
You know, even if it's just part-time.
Yes.
Go work to get the understand. Now, maybe it's in a large scale. So you have to drum it down and see, okay, how could this work for me? Because I would say maybe 80% of businesses that get started, small businesses, are started because of something they were already doing.
Yeah.
You know, they were working for someone else, a large company, and they felt like they was doing everything in that company. So technically, whatever they were doing, they're good at it, right? That doesn't mean that they know how to run a business.
Yes.
And so I think that people have that illusion that because I do this, I'll start my business. It's just this.
Yeah.
I already know how to do this. And it's not, because there's hats in that business, more than the hat that you were doing.
Yes.
You know, that was one technical area of that business. So what about your financials? What about, you know, if you need to get a loan, is your credit okay, right? You know, what about understanding who your target market is? And in a large corporation, they already know who their target market is. They
Yeah.
already did all that. So all you're doing is coming in and working a position. And I think people, the illusion is that they know how to run a business.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times when they come in, and I get a lot of pushback, you know, I've been doing this, you know, I was there for 13 years, and I was like, you know, I'm so, you know, proud of you. And technically, I know that you know all about that particular area. However, when it comes to running a business, there's some things I'd love for you to look at. You know, number one, we really do need, I don't know why I need a business plan. Why do I need
Everyone
a business
says
plan?
that, yeah.
I already know what I'm
I've been
doing.
in business for 5 years. What do I need a plan for?
And I say, I always stop for a moment. I let them go on and talk about it, and I'll say, well, you know, if someone told you they needed you to drive to Mississippi, and you'd never been there before, nor had you been on the highway, how would you get there? Well, I just stop at some gas station. I'll ask on the way. Typical. All right. So let's look at this a different way. You know, because that gas station could tell you anything. How do you know you're going in the right direction? So if you plan where you were going, you know, let's say we had a map
Yes.
that showed us how to get from Omaha to Mississippi. Then you could follow that map to make sure that you were getting to Mississippi. With a business plan, you can lay it out. You can lay out a 12-month pro forma. That 12-month pro forma can help you get to a 5-year pro forma, right? So in business planning, you're laying out things that you know need to be done. You want to put timelines on those things, you know, and then you want to begin to do some research, collect data on the industry,
Yes.
validating who I want to sell to, right? And how I want to sell. What's the best way that I can sell in this field and whatever I'm doing? And then really honing down on that. What other services besides what I do can I offer in this industry that I'm going to have that I can be different from all the other small businesses that might be like me?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Does that make sense? And so I think sometimes when when I'm talking to people, they're like, you know, their eyes are turning, and I'm like,
Oh,
everything
you
I'm
can
saying
see it
is
on their face,
bouncing off
yeah.
their head. I know it is, and so, you know, but I've learned over years not to get frustrated or anything like that. I just say, well, you know, when you feel like you can, you need some information, just come back and we can talk about it. You know, in a month they'll come back. Because I think what happens is that even us in our positions and what we've gone through in our journeys, and our journeys are different, we learn as we go.
Yes.
And what we've learned, it's really not for us to keep, it's for us to transfer those skills and that knowledge to other people in the industry or coming into the industry so that they don't run into the pitfalls that you ran into.
Yes.
Or you don't step into the lake, you know, so they don't step into the lake like you did. So, but when people know everything, you can't get that to them.
Yes.
So they have to step in the lake. That's on them.
That's on them. Yeah.
That's on them.
That's the only way for people to learn sometimes.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to make mistakes.
So tell me some more about the local art plug, because this is not only just a teaching show, but we really do some application things here, right? And so I love for the business owners to talk more about maybe what are some of the upcoming things, what are some of the things you've learned, and then what are some of the upcoming services that you're providing now through your 7 years of getting to where you want to go, and just talk about that a little bit.
Definitely. Originally, when we started out the business, we thought that artists needed just more exposure and just more opportunities to be seen. But really, what they need is connections. So we've been able to forge those connections with community partners.
Awesome.
Almost too many to mention at this point.
Yeah.
But our most recent one, or the next upcoming one, is July 1st at the Nebraska Innovation Campus, where we're actually hosting Art Plug Summer Jam. So we're giving a lot of artists a chance to not only display their artworks, but sell them through an auction, and that'll be displayed on the campus for 60 days from July 1st till August 31st.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if anyone has time to stop down there and check it out,
Yeah, I will.
you can buy some
So
art, you can look at it. Yeah.
Is that in near the Milo Bell Student Center? Or is
Um,
that?
so it's a new campus they built in Lincoln.
Oh, it's in
Yep,
Lincoln.
it's in Lincoln.
Okay,
Yep, yep,
okay,
yep.
okay.
So we're bringing together the Omaha and Lincoln market, and this is kind of our first expansion into Lincoln. So we're looking forward to doing more stuff down there.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of opportunity there.
Definitely.
You know, probably more than here, but yeah, there's for artists at least because you know
Yes.
there's a lot of things that are cropping up in Lincoln.
Definitely,
You
and
know,
all
I
over
love
the
Lincoln.
state with the creative districts
Yes,
as well. Yeah.
yes, there's a lot going on. Oh wow, that's so awesome. So how can people get in contact with you?
Definitely. We have social medias on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Our website's currently down for maintenance as we update it. But I also have an email, xavier.jackson@localartplug or info@localartplug.com
Okay.
for both of those. Yeah, feel free to reach out and we can get you more information on any of our open calls that we have coming up.
Yes.
And any other ways that you can kind of get involved in the creative community.
Yeah, and you also do a networking. Is
Yes.
it weekly?
It's monthly.
Monthly.
Yep.
Okay.
Twice
so
a month.
talk about that a little bit and how that's going because I know that's really going great. So.
Yeah, that's been going great, like you just said. It's called Creatives and Coffees, and we host that every second and fourth Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. At our space at the Flatiron Building currently. That's on 1722 St. Mary's Avenue, Suite 110. We're in the southwest corner of the Triangle Building.
Yeah. So it's a restaurant, right?
There's a restaurant on
The second
the nose of the
Oh, no,
triangle.
right
Yep.
in front.
Yep, and out
Okay.
front. Yep.
Yeah.
I describe it as a triangle all the time. And when people are down there, I'm sure it's a little confusing. But
But that
from the
building
sky,
has
it's
been there for
forever. Yeah.
And I always wondered, you know, like I mean, I remember when I first came here, that building was there, and that was I won't say, but anyway.
No, it's been there from the 1800s.
I'm a
or something.
Louisiana girl, you know, but I've been all over the world, and when I first came here, I thought I love unique buildings and architecture, and I really love that. I was like, this is so cool. It's right here, like to me, it's like a backwards V.
Yes.
You know, and so, but I always wondered what was in there, and then I think. They redid it, and was it a hotel at one time?
I think it was a hotel at one time. I think it was a few different restaurants.
I
At
think so,
some
too.
point, they might have done. I don't know what else they've all done in
I
there.
don't
I've always
either.
been curious about the building
I
too.
was just thinking it was just one thing.
Yes.
And so I couldn't remember if it was a hotel or if it was restaurant. But what is it called now?
So they actually still call it the Flatiron Hotel,
Flatiron
but I
Hotel,
think
okay.
it's an apartment building now, kind of like a mixed-use space where
Okay.
apartments are on top and then they have commercial spaces at the bottom. Yes.
Okay. Right. And so that's the second and
Second and fourth Saturday every month.
every month. Okay. Do you do something weekly on Thursdays or?
Monthly on Thursdays. We've taken a little pause on it, but we're coming back for it next month. We have our monthly mini markets.
Yes,
We've
that's
just
what
had
it
so many events going on that we've kind of had to
It's
put a
kinda
pause
hard
to
to-
the
yeah.
markets. Yeah. But we are planning to throw a block party next month, actually, a mega market, if you will,
that'd be
July
awesome.
29th at our space and shut down the
Yeah.
street to get all the other
I love
businesses
it.
and
I love
interact.
it.
Yep.
And so on that, will people like get vending
Yes.
tables and things like that? Now, is that outside or in?
Weather permitting, it'll be outside.
It'll be outside, okay.
Definitely. And if it does rain, we have a contingency date of August 5th. So I believe so July 29th is the last Saturday in July, and
Right,
then
so it's
that'd be the next Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. What I was going to say. So, will it be at the Flatiron as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's
yeah.
yep, right at the in the back of the Flatiron, there's a street that no one really drives on. And we'll get that
it
blocked
Jones?
off. No, it was even hard for me to describe to the Parks and City people, but it's 18th and St. Mary's. It's between 18th and St. Mary's and 18th and Howard. It might just be called 18th. It's just a little a little strip. Yeah, no one really drives
Now
down it.
you don't make me go down there and see where it is because I'm like, okay, I know where St. Mary's is because St. Mary's and something, one is one way and the other one is
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, they're
So I
both
can't
one.
remember.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
or whatever have you.
I think St. Mary's is one way going west. Or coming
Yes.
East.
Yep. One way going west.
And what's the opposite one? That opposite one is going east.
Um,
I can't remember.
is that 20? I'm not the
don't
best
know.
with streets. I'm directionally challenged, y'all.
I am too.
I have to tell you
And-
about the
and
landmarks.
actually,
Yeah.
sometimes people say, "Oh, it's on Franklin." I'm like, okay, where's Franklin Street
Yeah.
at? Because you don't
Yeah.
frequent those streets if you're not from. I know I've been here a long time, but I still don't know all the streets. I mean, north or south. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know the main ones. I know the street numbers. But when you get into the names of the streets, sometimes I'm like, okay. So I get on Google and I'll say, where's
Every
Franklin
time.
Street? What is it next to? You know, so that way I can find it. But I'm just I'm really proud of what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I'm so grateful for you just following your path and taking your time to do so that this is very, you're looking at everything. And so you're closing any gaps, you know what I mean? That would kind of come back later, because I tell people if you take your time, you can usually run up on things that might cause a problem later on.
Yes.
And so that's really important to take your time when you're planning, looking at everything, and always have a contingency
Yes.
plan. I don't care if you plan to just go next door. If something happens and there's a split between the doors, you need to be able to get around there some kind of way. So contingency plans are always great. And I think, get as much information and knowledge that you can on whatever you're trying to do.
Yes.
So that you have good information, because information breeds success. The more you know, the better the outcome can be.
Yes.
And the more confident you can be in making your decisions. So, I mean, that's just my take on it. Give a couple thoughts to people that are listening at this show today.
No, I definitely agree with what Ms. BC is saying. Numbers don't lie, as they say at the end of the day. You can have a passion for something, but if the market isn't there, you'll find that out pretty quickly. And I'd say set timelines on things too. I watch Shark Tank a lot.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Leary, I like him. Sometimes he gets on my nerves, but one of his things is it might have even been Tim Ferriss, honestly.
Yeah.
He wrote 4 Hour Workweek, but it's know when to kill a bad idea quickly.
Yes.
Because you don't want to spend 6 or 7 of your years of your life doing something that's never going to lead anywhere. Yeah.
And that's what I always tell people, is this something you want to do as a hobby or is something viable that can be a business?
Yeah.
And so I have a workshop that I have people come to that have an idea. And in that I'm having them, by the time they get through writing, they can determine whether or not it's going to be one, because we do a little research on that industry that they're trying to go into. So I have them write out a mission statement for it, a vision. I also have them describe what the idea is. By the time they do that, about 4 or half the class leaves. They just fall out. I'm not going to do this, And so I think that's a good thing to do. When you can lay things out and write about it, you may be able to find out, this is not worth my time.
Yes.
Or it's saturated.
Yes.
What I did find out during the pandemic is that there were so many small businesses that were started, like 24% more, that some of the areas were saturated. And so what do you do? And so I came up with a PowerPoint. What to do when the area is saturated, how do you stand out?
Yes.
So it's just things like that I'm always trying to create to give people ideas and things. This has been very, very enlightening for me today, and I'm so happy that we got a chance to talk.
Me too.
And we'll talk about the performer as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want to thank you so much for being on the show today.
No, thank you for having me. This is an amazing opportunity. I'm grateful for everything that you do for the community as well as this platform.
Yeah.
Definitely
Trying to
tune
get
in,
'em
subscribe, and share. All that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. My guest today was Xavier Jackson, the Local Art Plug. Check him out. Local Art Plug, info at localartplug.com.
Yep, that's it.
And then either Xavier.Jackson at the Local Art Plug. All right. So listen, enjoy yourself. Keep the information. Do good. Have a great business. And we'll see you the next time. Thanks for joining us.